welcoming all of you all on behalf of Messi München and Yontex. We're going to kick off this session with a fireside chat called the Playing Soothsayer. This is the fireside chat where we're going to have a bird's eye view on where is the beverage industry really heading towards. And to kick off this fireside chat, I'm going to welcome the very magnificent lady who's been helping multiple brands to grow. She's a veteran in the beverage industry. Please put up your hands together and welcome Miss Anjana Ghosh, the Managing Director of Scale Sherpas. Thank you very much, Ms. Anjana, for making it this afternoon, and I'm sure it's going to be a clear fireside chat. And to welcome the next guest speaker, please put up your hands together for Mr. Syamprasad Lakkaraju, the COO of Megha Fruit Processing Private Limited. He comes with an industrial experience of over 33 years in the field of manufacturing, procurement, supply chain, project management, new product development. He's been working with various organizations like Pepsi, Bovis Lendlease, Marico, Britannia, Dr. Reddy Laboratories, and more. He's currently working as the COO, the Chief Operating Officer with Megha Fruit Processing Private Limited. Please put up your hands together for Mr. Syamprasad as they ignite the fireside chat. Thank you very much, and over to you, Ms. Anjana.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Drink Tech 2024. Well, of course, it's a pleasure that we are here and kicking off the session. Drink Tech is not only a cornerstone event, it is a platform for the entire value chain to exchange perspectives, to understand what's happening in the industry. And today we will look at the potential that India holds for the beverage industry. We all are aware that India is gearing up to be a 5 trillion economy. And today with Mr. Syamprasad, we will discuss the opportunities that India holds specifically for the beverage industry. So, of course, we too will engage in this discussion, but I think as audience that you all are sitting here, we should have an open session so that even your viewpoints, if you have any questions, you have any views, I think we should address it here. So, Mr. Syamprasad, how do you think that India is really gearing up for the potential and the economy that we foresee in, say, 5 trillion, reaching 5 trillion economy? And of course, this industry and all industries are sort of participating and gearing up to take opportunity there. So your viewpoints, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. I think it's not a big thing that India is dreaming to become a 5 trillion economy. The growth has been phenomenal in various sectors, especially IT, ITES, and NHA. You have seen that the way infrastructure is growing, and we are becoming global API in pharmaceutical. At the same time, even the beverage industry is really growing at a very rapid pace. If you observe the overall landscape of our GDP contribution, while we employ around 55% of the population, only 18% of the GDP comes from agriculture. That's one area where we need to improve, and that's the area where beverage is going to add more value. So it's going to be a real challenging platform, and beverage is growing rapidly towards it. Even within this beverage industry, the whole landscape is changing. I think as we progress, we will discuss more on that. But in next 2 years, the beverage out of the 5 trillion, we will be having around 13.7 million is going to come from normal carbonated soft drinks, and with a CAGR of around 8%, 3 to 4% in the carbonated soft drinks, 8% in normal fruit juices, 8 to 10%, and that will reach to around 8 million industry. But the segment that is coming is health drinks, fortified drinks, which is going back to the Indian tradition. They are growing with a rapid pace of 16% CAGR. They will end up with anywhere 10 to 12 million industry. So we are rapidly growing. We need to understand this landscape better and better and find and seize the opportunities as it comes. Thank you, ma'am.
So my point of view here with the beverage, Drink Tech happens to be an event, a platform where all the beverage value chain people are engaged. I think the perspective for the beverage growth in India is also huge. We are right now and also for the next 25 years, I think the population of India is going to be the young population that is in the age of say 15 to 35. So 60% of the population are going to be the beverage consuming. I mean, that's actually the TG for beverage. And 60% of the population are going to be in that age group. Hence this value, the value of beverage and growth in beverage is seen for the next 25 years. So I think that is the biggest lever that we as people who are in the beverage industry have, that for the next 25 years we can only see growth. Now, yes, of course, it's not void of challenges because technology is changing fast. I was discussing with him the adaptability to technology change. Now that's going to be the biggest challenge, I think, as we grow ahead, because our people, so without people, we cannot really go ahead. And how fast can we train our people to acquire skills and move ahead is today's biggest challenge. Because technology is coming in now, we all keep hearing AI, and we see the potential that is for the next 20 years for the beverage. But at the same time, we also see challenges. So as he is, leading projects and you are already handling this. So how do you see this challenge of people management and people skill development, new technology? What are the challenges normally as a entrepreneur you face?
Yeah. I think it's very important. While Indian demography and young population is going to help us to really grow business for next 2.5 decades, as you mentioned, enhancing the skill development is the most important key. What organizations need to realize is there are organizations and there are learning organizations. As per the HBR study, what happens is even the top 500 companies disappear from that 500 spot by almost 30% every 5 years. They keep changing. So even in this industry, there are a lot of people come, they are unable to manage, move out. The reason is only the learning organizations will cross. There is something called, any entrepreneur should know, is a 3-year itch and 7-year itch. If they cross these two barriers, they will cross 30 years. If they cross 30 years, then the organization will become a long-term organization. So if an organization really want to do, I quote my one of favorite managing directors whom I worked with, Harsh Mariwala. He says, there are only 2 assets which get appreciated in any organization. One is people, other is brand. And importance is people need to have patience as an entrepreneur. You need to water the root to get the fruits. You can't just sprinkle water on the mango or a leaf and immediately you're going to get fruits. No. Yes, the technology has come long way. I have been knowing many of the people who have put, say for example, Goma 10 years before or today, what kind of they are giving automation was fantastic. Earlier, the AI, which now they call it, is now linked through IoT. Earlier, it was an automation within the machine. Now is integrated with the entire process. Slowly, they are making it a foolproof. However, even to understand the simple skill, convert the knowledge into execution, we need to create those modules and people should be trained. When people train, the passionate people will create profitable products. The game changes there. People are the central point. As rightly Madam said, skill development is going to be the single most important thing industry should think about it, because the tallest buildings will have the deepest foundations. The deepest foundations are not seen, but they are the people. That's where the difference comes. Yeah.
So in the audience, anybody would like to take this question of how industry is building up their skill and what are the ways to build up and nurture skill within the organization? Any manufacturer who is doing this or having a challenge here? Can we take a question from someone here? Yes, please. Can a mic be given to him?
Good afternoon, honorable
Yes,
speakers
good
and everyone. Well, I have two questions. First of all, what is going to be the share of tea and coffee in the beverage industry? That's my first question.
Well, let me take that question from you. See, when we say beverage, 67,000 crore is the beverage market as on date in India. Out of which, of course, 40% is ruled by the carbonated drink because that's where the population consumes the carbonated. Rest is, of course, 8 to 9%, which is in the juices. And of course, 12 to 13%, or say around 20%, I think, is coffee and tea. If you are, although yes, the fraction it looks smaller, but coffee and tea in India is somehow, in our DNA. It's going to be very difficult for anybody to take that factor out from our culture because it has got a cultural impact. South drinks coffee, East drinks tea, North drinks tea. So being a cultural, factor, it's difficult. But yes, again, as I said, the basic is for this youth, the 60% of the population today, innovation is going to be the key. If you see today the kind of coffee that is, across India for the youth, you can see the shift. So I always feel that if we have got to gear up as manufacturers, if we have to gear up as, producers, we have to see where our target audience are moving. Target audience do not want the same old coffee, tea that probably their father and their grandfather was consuming. So I think going forward in industry, we will have to get into innovating something that the consumer wants. So here is a big shift in the consumer consumption habit that they are moving out of, the regular kind of a consumption which was happening for so many years till now. You will see that same change in beer. I mean, beer is a classic example. Today you have this variety of craft beers coming in, which we did not hear probably even 5 years back. Beer was beer. Everybody believed beer is beer. But today beer is not beer. So that's the shift I think we will all have to accommodate. But if you see the potential, if you feel that, it's going to come down or grow up, probably it will grow up because, as I said, this generation wants something new every time. You do not know how the dynamics will play ahead. Your second
In fact,
question.
the fortified formats in tea have grown tremendously and the potential is very high. So it talks about the gut health, all other aspects, not just the masala tea which we used to hear, from there to how much transition happened in that segment. I think it has tremendous potential. There's nothing to. And it is linked with the clock. Unlike carbonated soft drink, it's never linked with the clock. It is inevitable. Most of us has to take it to start the day or like that.
Thank you so much for your insight, sir. My second question is, in an age and day, youngsters are, born with slippery foot. They change their job as they change their clothes. So it's really difficult for employers to, retain the talented people. So what would you say?
That question you take up.
I think it's a YouTube generation. Now all of us know that it all now boiled down to even reels. Reels come with 2 minutes. You move the finger and you. So yeah, the concept is while the accountability is going down, it is also not just that the people move on. People leave their bosses. They do not leave organizations. And with the technology, with very clear, people can mark to the industry. So they evaluate their value on a continual basis and they keep moving. That's one segment of the people who are executives. And for the workmen, when you see the simple Gallup study out of the 12 questions, when I was with Marico, we created another question called 13th question, that what company also provides you. Simple question of what Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose told. What you give as an organization to him, he'll stay. And we created a simple format called self-managed teams in Pondicherry for Marico. And there was never a problem of people retention. And it was very difficult and an onerous task. I felt almost I failed when we have taken up, but it took us 2 years, post which things started working because it's highly automated, only diploma engineers work, self-managed teams, rest of the things have been packaged into different this way. So you need to find ways to innovatively not only build the talent, but to attract and keep. So then we have written an article called Drop, develop a responsive organization through people. That's where the self-managed team has come. And in fact, Dr. Reddy Laboratories have adapted a 14-page document we made. They made a 400-page document with various tenets of how to do this self-managed teams. And they are doing it. So you're right, it's very difficult to hold the talent. And it does not have one simple solution. Different folks, different strokes, and also different levels, different way of managing. But how much as an organization we train the people and improve them, once they find that I am learning here, I am with a learning organization, they will stay longer. So the more and more they learn, the more and more they stay longer. Yeah.
So my point of view to all the entrepreneurs would be that I think yes, thinking that the generation will change, it's time for us to change. Currently, you see, our own children, we are learning from them. Whatever rules were applicable to us is not applicable to them because we are changing for them. Coming home at 10 o'clock has now changed coming home at whatever time you come, but come home. So, like parents, we are changing. I think as organizational heads, we should change ourselves and not expect them to change because they will be the way they are. So, if we can adapt ourselves to them, we will be able to retain people much better rather than expecting them to change, which they will not. We know we have not been able to change our children, so how then we change our own employees? So I think the shift has to be here and not there.
Thank you so much.
Any more questions? So one more aspect, Mr. Syamprasad, that we would like to say is now this whole thing about ESG compliant, being ESG compliant. I for sure should admit on this platform that I am not aware as to what is this and how India is going to adapt to this whole new concept about being ESG compliant, etc. So how do you look at this compliance and what do you think are the challenges currently in India and probably when will India be, can we expect India to be 100% compliant?
Yeah. I think it's a very relevant topic. All the organizations are and societal change also coming. Until and unless societal change comes, organizations also doesn't change. If we people want more investments, their ESG score has to be better. Environment and safety governance. The concern for, the growing concern for clear environment, reduction in carbon footprint is growing. But there is always a balance that how much India can take up in reduction in carbon footprint and what kind of changes that need to come in. Coming to this aspect, India is really progressed very rapidly. I have seen, given a change, I had an opportunity to work with Coca-Cola and had been able to visit almost 15 to 16 nations. But the rapidity with which India is adopting the technology and change is far higher than many places I had seen. There were never used to be an effluent treatment plants in 1980s. Today, we have moved in 30 years to zero liquid discharge facility systems. That means we are making sure that there is a water balance management, rainwater harvesting, various other methods of environmental protection that is being taken care by the organizations. And there are not just the KPIs, but they have been dovetailed into the business strategies, the way we see and change the overall landscape. Now coming to the governance, I think that's where India need to really grow further. The current, the AI and all these things will help in reducing the corruption, reducing the way the overall management happens. I think that's ESG is going to really going to be the primary driver in days to come. The aspiring entrepreneurs who are putting up an industry, now the serial entrepreneurs want to go to IPO and they want to sell it. If they want to go public, people would like to see what their ESG score is. In 2012, I was head of supply chain, global supply chain with Marico. When the ESG score, E&Y, we cleared, our share has gone up by from some 310 to 345 in 3 days. That means the people awareness on that why this is important, not only the entrepreneurs recognized, but the society is also recognized. How quickly the small entrepreneurs learn it and move towards it, make a lot of changes, both in execution and as well as in their strategic planning to grow. Yeah.
So anybody would like to take a question on ESG here? Yes, please.
Not on ESG, but
Anything. Okay.
so I have two questions. First question is that since you rightly mentioned that 60% of the market or TG will be 15 to 35, and so the demand and the consumption is going to increase. Now, considering as India as a market, because it's a price-sensitive market. Now, looking at beverage as a category, we have been able to control the price because of two factors. One of the major ingredients being sugar or related to sugar, which will lead to health as a concern. And second, the packaging, which is a PET bottle, which is plastic. The more we produce, the more it is going to damage the environment. So what do you think when we are looking at more and more of consumption, how we are going to address these two concerns as a major challenge that might come with this TG also and the price point?
So the sugar, I will leave it for him to answer. The plastic packaging, I would definitely like to answer here is, see, of course, as beverage industry or beverage manufacturers, bottlers, we can't really have an alternative, which we know we have been struggling for like so many years to find an alternative to plastic, and we have not been able to find. So I think at some stage, as industry responsible for the packaging and using plastic as a packaging, we have to take the responsibility to make our consumers aware. I think the biggest fault or the biggest drawback today is the consumer not aware that every plastic packaging that we are using is recyclable. The biggest gap is there. Because I have done a lot of research on trying to find this, break this myth that the consumers have that plastic is bad, and it is sort of, damaging my environment. Now, this is a concept, this is a belief that the consumer has. I think we all have to start playing a role into making him aware that, look, this is not right. And that's where the industry will have to take up a stand to create awareness as to what happens after the consumer consumes that bottle, where does it go? Because the perception is that it is lying in a landfill, but actually it is not. So recycling, how it is recycled, how the alternatives of the packaging are made, I think that's where the gap is, and that has to come in forefront, that every manufacturer will have to take up that responsibility to create awareness with their consumer. Because packaging, we all know it for sure, for 10, 20 years we are struggling to find an alternative. Plastic doesn't have an alternative. Only thing that we can control is how we can see that we don't litter and it doesn't go into the landfill. So that awareness, if we take up as a responsibility, I don't think we have a threat, and it's high time that as plastic usage brands who are using plastic takes up this responsibility wholly, and that's the only alternative. And sugar, yes, he can answer as to how sugar is creating a fear in consumers' mind.
I think on the pet as you dwell, yeah, I think we can learn from the developed countries. The heaps and heaps of pet wastage in various parts of US, Latin America, they are still finding answers to struggle and to change the formats. If you see, everywhere globally, people are also, even in India, have moved the formats. Today, 65% of the format is still in PET, and carbonated soft drinks have no other option other than the PET. But whereas the other formats have moved to with better barrier property packaging formats, okay, they all moved. And with USP like paperboard has come with that, they have really grown. Okay, so the formats are changing, things are changing, and even the caps, as Madam explained, the social awareness is one of the key things. Government also coming on a 360-degree holistic way, that extended promoter responsibility. Now, the entrepreneur is going to pay some amount to the overall pollution so that the people collect it and then do the recycling and do. It's not just, cannot happen only for the land filling all the way. But yes, there is a long way to go, and things are for sure changing. But as she said, all of us need to be more and more responsible, not just EPR. And now for every bottle they produce, entrepreneur pays certain amount to make sure that the recycling and pickup and things happen. So there is a method in madness have been initiated, and there is the ways, I hope, greener pastures. Now coming to the sugar. All of us know the recent story that India is diabetic capital, all of us know, and higher sugar content and change in the way our lifestyle diseases are propping up. There are various alternate methods have come. And with the new methodologies of production linked incentive schemes, think global, act local, things are changing, and slowly and gradually people will also change. And sugary drinks are going to find a decline in the days to come because they have not defined to be obviously healthy. But one thing there I have learned, what is healthy for me may not be healthy for somebody else. Say for example, a laborer who is working on the street, for him sugar is most important. In fact, Vinita Bali, who is the MD of earlier erstwhile Britannia, she has raised this concept even on World Health Organization, because even today, if you see, biscuit is being defined as a junk food. She asked only one question, junk food for whom? For me, yes, because I don't, but for the child labor, she said, when I was visiting, being a marketer, a child labor is fed with milk bikis, thinking that the milk is there in it. It is being fed, mixed with the water and given to the child. It is a high nutrition for him. So malnutrition being erased for that child. So the concept of that is very clear. So the people who use the segment variation happens. However, there are a lot of things we have seen, the beverage majors, aspartame, sucralose, everything has come. Even erythritol, people have come. They are all 200 to 400% sweeter than the normal sugar with almost 0 calories. While aspartame, sucralose and these things are have health, you know, yeah, problems that can cause and only can be for certain segment have to be excluded. But erythritol and these things are coming up to be very good. People are using jaggeries and other things are also coming up. Slowly those answers also will come. Nothing will come overnight, but people are finding better alternate solutions for sugar. For sure, the sugar overall, the hectares that is been India is coming down, but the growth is going up. A part of it is been even ethyl alcohol and other aspects have been moved towards the energy industry. So there is rapid, significant change is happening in that industry regarding the sugar as well. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. And my second question is, when you look at the process of manufacturing, post-production, the product flows from factory to CFA, then primary, secondary, tertiary sales happens. The right hand of the is already digitized, but when you look at the back end operations, from raw material to finished goods, there is still digitization to be done, because manually person does the work, write it on paper, put it on Excel, and then the report is generation is happen. But industrialists are very reluctant to go digitization for these processes because it adds costs. Why? Like, why it is not being much addressed and digitized?
So I think if you have felt the need for it, and all of us feel the need that everything has to go up to the manufacturing end to be digitalized, and so that you have a complete end-to-end view of where your product originates and where your product goes and gets consumed. I think the need is felt, technologies will get built. We have fantastic technologies in India, and I'm sure very soon, most of the people are already working on this blockchain concept, and maybe it's just time that it will become, see, the problem today that you are addressing, that just because it is, costlier, so the entrepreneurs are reluctant to invest in that investment. But if you see the long-term benefit that we will see, we will reduce the damages, we will reduce, the handling, etc. That will give us an ROI, and more people coming into it with solutions will also reduce the cost. So I think, as an industry people, we are very hopeful that this end will very soon gets completely, sort of connected to the last mile. At least I feel very positive about it.
In fact, I was discussing with Madam just before this, how a change management can be dovetailed into a business strategy, B in execution, is going to change the landscape. As you rightly said, out of the farm to fork, half of it technology is taking care, but the back end, prior to the manufacturing, it is not. It will take change. As I mentioned prior to this, the agriculture sector is yet to take a boom. India is going to be not just the rice or sugar bubble for the world. It is going to change the entire landscape. The agricultural space is coming down and productivity is going up. Still, we are not at the level of an Australia or a China because of various aspects. The change management that is not being done, not led to some of the laws that has been envisaged have not been put into execution. But that change will slowly and gradually will come. Agriculture, even today, gives 55% of the employment in unorganized sector. In India, there are only 9% in organized sector. 91% are in unorganized sector. Out of the 91%, 56% are employed by the agricultural sector. So the change will come, and that is going to be the change for entire India. As you are aspiring, every one of us will, the change will come. It will take time, but the change management seeds have been initiated. They will, including they were pesticides, and the people who are selling this, the people are coming with AI technology. They gave that what kind of pesticides they need to do that. And for the crop management and the harvesting cycles have been published. They will help them. The insurance people are co-creating with them with the GPS, making sure that is it really the damage happened by this, and they can really say earlier kitne ton ka, how many tons of X produce happened, people never used to. But now with this GPS technology, people can sit and say ki the possibility of so many tons of mango or so many tons of wheat can be calculated. Similar, the insurance for that. So things are changing. This is an evolutionary platform. Yes, very rightly asked.
So,
you.
so I think to conclude the session, if there are no more questions, okay, yes. Yes, please.
You need a...
Hi, my name is Gennady. I'm visiting from Europe, company Berry Global. So we are one of the leading packaging companies in the world, 250 plus plants of, let's say, plastic packaging. And in Europe, from the summer, we have a big change of the industry. We moved to the tethered caps, completely different technology, and it is because of legislation. So the government of Europe decided that we need to keep our nature more clean, let's say. And it is my second day in India, fantastic country, first trip to India, first visit to Mumbai. I'm enjoying this visit, but I was really disappointed with condition of the beaches. A lot of plastic waste, and it's really painful for me because the country is fantastic, beautiful, and this pollution is okay. For me, it's something not good, and we need to take care about it. And I would like to ask your opinion. What do you think? Does it make sense for us to make a, let's say, first step for this technology? At least we can keep caps attached to the bottles to have, let's say, to minimize potential influence of this plastic waste on our nature. So it is my question. Thank you.
So I'll take that. You see, the problem in India is not really plastic. The problem in India is the consumer's awareness. The consumer who's throwing plastic in the sea is throwing because he doesn't know that the plastic can be picked up and recycled. And they do not have places where they can dispose plastic for recycling. So this is the biggest problem that India has, that you feel that you throw it in the sea, it's gone. Because so that I'm not littering in my environment, I'm throwing it in the sea, and when the sea brings it back, it's an eyesore for everyone. But I think the core problem in India is making the consumer aware that please don't dispose it in a place where it cannot be sort of scavenged. India is blessed to have scavengers in India. Unlike the Europe that we are talking about, where the scavengers don't exist, India has scavengers who can go and pick up plastic bottles across India. This is the reality. And they thrive. Their daily wages are on how much plastic they collect and send it for recycling. So the unfortunate part in India is awareness among the consumer. It's not that in India we don't have an end-to-end collection mechanism and recycling mechanism. We do have it. But unfortunately, just because the consumer is not aware and you see it on the sea and you feel pathetic, oh, it's lying on the sea, but the moment it comes onto the sea, it is collected by someone, and on the beaches, it is collected by someone, and they go. If you are walking in the street of Bombay, you just try to find out one PET bottle lying on the street. You will not find it. So that's the reality of us. But the problem is that as consumer, as me, you, or people sitting in this room, they are not aware that this is, the PET bottle is supposed to be sold in a gold rate among plastic. So there is an existing mechanism in India. We are doing a lot of recycling. But again, the perception that, plastic is bad, plastic is littering, exists. When we are talking about solution with the cap and the bottle to be, together, it still is going to be thrown somewhere. So whether you have both the kind of cap and the bottle together, or you have both differently. The fact is that the consumers have to become aware that they just can't litter it around. There has to be a place where plastic bottle can be sort of, thrown, and it can be then organized and collected and gone. I'm sure in this entire event, you will have many plastic recycling guys who are currently following the same mechanism, scavengers picking it up and selling it to them, and they are recycling it. So as Indians, I think we have a great, system running with us. But unfortunately, as manufacturers or as responsible manufacturers, we are not creating this awareness. That's the only lack. But the mechanism exists. We recycle plastic, all kind of plastic. Even the MLPs are recycled nowadays, and it is made into utility items. So I think the miss is there on creating the awareness.
Also, as a society, a couple of things I said. You said, yeah, there is a progress happening in packaging technology. The leave-in ring has come, and now, as you said, an integrated, leaving it on the top of the neck. That change also is going to come. Obviously, it's the next step. It's an evolutionary. Not only that, if you see the plastic straws, regulatory have banned. Now alternate straws with the YouTube technology have come. Similarly, even the milk packets, earlier they used to slash. The litter used to cause more damage than the packet itself. So now they cut open only a bit, and then they use and leave that piece onto the top of the, as you shown in the cap, and the same is came with the milk packet. That's on the packaging format, both as an entrepreneur and also specialists like you, and we contribute. In general, in culture, I think when things, they come back, India has given a 5R principle to the globe. Reduce, reuse, refuse, recycle. This is most used. And in fact, various packaging formats exist, and then people start using it. Now it become for the use and the scale people are going. Otherwise, people use it on a banana leaf, which is more healthier because you get a lutein out of it, xylene out of it, and it helps your gut health along with your food. And all 5 colors in the food along with these greens when you go, that's great, environmental friendly. And you put it back, it goes back into the Mother Earth without any problem. So things will come. Absolutely right. When we see from the top, the change when it is happening, the rate of change in good is slow, in bad is faster. That always happens. So in the transition, we see this litter everywhere, but I am sure the days will come, the roads will be as clean as Costa Rica or Venezuela, where I moved in.
So I think that's the potential India holds to reach 5 trillion economy. All this has to be done, and we are very fortunate at Indian to be part of that journey that has already started and will continue for a few more years, multiple years in fact. Thank you so much. Thank you for being with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Anjana and Mr. Syamprasad.